What's up, everybody? Get a little set up here. Ingrid Pauline again here. I just wanted to check in after that first video that I sent earlier this week, in which I was talking about the hormones. Firstly, thank you guys. Whoever's watching this, thank you for being here. And whoever watched the first video, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you learned something because truly, that is money is nice. I would like to make some money because I want to pay my bills doing this. But mostly, I really, really, really want to get this information about hormonal based training out to the world and to women. Every woman who exercises, uses her body, moves, is interested in losing weight or eating healthy or getting fitter. I want you to know that there's more answers out there to work with you and your body and health. And yeah, I'm just I just want to get the word out there. So, for those who are watching, thank you so much for being there. Please share this information with your friends and let everybody know that you know more than the average bear about women's health and fitness and hormonal cycles. Yeah, so last time we talked about hormonal cycles throughout the period, throughout the menstrual cycle. And so what it is, just a quick recap. So what it is, in the beginning of the cycle, you have your follicular phase, you have ovulation, and then you have your luteal phase. So estrogen goes up in the follicular phase. It really peaks at ovulation. It goes down rapidly during the luteal phase. And then progesterone stays pretty low, steadily climbs. And then after ovulation, it peaks, and it peaks in the luteal phase, makes you feel good. Kind of relaxes you because you're losing a bunch of estrogen, and it just kind of reduces some anxiety. Um, Interesting part is that the androgens, the testosterone that we have in our body, or the testosterone derivatives that we have in our body called androgens, what they do, it's a lot lower. They kind of slowly, steadily peak, and then they go whoop, they get real high around ovulation, and then they drop down and they stay low through the luteal phase. So this, by definition, means that our energy is the highest during the first portion of our cycle, and especially during ovulation. During the last portion of our cycle, it's sort of a void game. It's sort of we're just surviving. But this is like super important because it makes a huge impact on muscle gains. Um, so we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about like testosterone and muscle gains and stuff like that. I just wanted to tell you about a woman that I worked with named Melissa. She is an amateur athlete here, a local gym here in Los Angeles, and she's a working athlete. She about 26 years old. She's done CrossFit for quite a while. She's in fantastic shape. She's not like one of those skinny mini ripped female athletes. She's got about 23% body fat. She's like strong and capable, and like just she's got a great body, and she moves really well. And she came in during an odd portion of the day every day that I was there. She came in around 3 o'clock. Most people come in like at, as you know, like 5, 6, 7. But she went to work early, so she got out early so she could train in the gym fairly alone. And yeah, so we got to talking every day, and we would just talk about girl stuff. We would talk about training. We would talk about nail polish and all that stuff. And I just noticed her looking pretty beat up and tired. I know that she was following a training program, and she was over it. And I could see it in her eyes. And her being a stellar athlete that she was still showing up, and she was still going to put in 110% effort because that's what it means to be an athlete. But she was really dragging. And so I just asked her, I was like, oh, when was your last period? Like, what day of your cycle are you on? How long is your cycle? She's like, wait, what? Excuse me? I'm like, when was your last period? What day today are you on your cycle? Like, when is your next period coming up, dude? She's like, oh, I'm having my period in like 4 days. I was like, 4 days? Because she just been talking to me, and this was the peak of her training cycle. She was on like a 6 or 8 week training cycle. She was peaking. And that means that she had to do her highest volume and her heaviest work that day. Ladies, Think about how you feel 4 days before you get your period. Do you want to spend 2.5 hours in the gym doing the hardest work you will ever have to do for 6 weeks, 4 days before you get your period? No, no way. No way I'm going to do it. Okay. Even me, like I don't have much PMS. I've never had a really painful period. I've never had a really heavy period. Um, but like, dude, I don't feel great right before my period. I'm out of energy. I'm not, listen, if somebody says that I have to do 8 sets of 3 front squats at 90% of my 1RM, and then I have to go do a 20-minute Metcon and a bunch of skill work after that, if I have to go do the heaviest I'm going to lift for the next 2 months, 4 days before my period, I'm going to be like, dude, big freaking protest right there. Because even if I do my best, even if I come in that 4 days before my period starts, I come in and I like dig so deep in the barrel of self-motivation and just like focus and willpower, I'm still not going to be that great. I'm going to perform at about 70% of what I would usually perform. Like my 100% for that day would be a 70% on a good day. Does that make sense? I would just like not, I mean, I would grin and bear it, but like I'm not giving my best. And you know what? That's okay. And it takes a lot of women, like it's a big thing of pride to sort of admit that you're not like, because of your period and because of your hormonal cycles, you're not going to be able to perform as well. We've been told that that's a weakness. We've been told that that is something to be ashamed of. We've been told that, while either directly or indirectly, that this is something that's like absolutely terrible. Does it mean I'm not going to get the job done? No, absolutely not. I'm going to get the job done no matter what. All right. I'm just not going to do it with the absolute strength and best conviction that I have before previously. And you know what? That's okay. I'm sure if it was a life and death situation, I'd do it. But in life and death situations, you have stuff like adrenaline pumping through your body. We're not alone at a gym training for a competition that is months away. Okay. That's like a completely different beast. All right. Anyway, so I talked to her. I gave her some articles that I wrote, and I sent her some scientific abstract. And then she sent them along to her coach. And I was really grateful for that because God bless this man. He took that to heart and she changed her training. And it was just like, after 2 months, the difference was night and day. Like she was hitting all of her big lifts during the first portion of her cycle where she's the strongest in ovulation, where she's the absolute strongest and she was doing PR. She was doing all of her heavy work. She came in energized. She came in feeling fresh. And then as her cycle went on, like the next 2 weeks, she would be doing a lot of mobility work. She was finally getting in all of her stretching and mobility work because, ladies, if you do a lot of weightlifting, like you have to stretch. And in fact, anybody who is over the age of 30, man, woman, or child, well, obviously not a child because a child can't be over the age of 30. Well, I've met a couple of man children. I've met a couple of lady children that are over the age of 30, but that's not the point. Anybody who's over the age of 30 is going to learn the importance of stretching real quick, especially if they do weightlifting, if they do any kind of resistance training. Everybody should stay mobile, okay? Everybody needs to stay mobile. So if you don't do stretching yourself, you need to outsource your stretching. And by that, I mean you need to go to yoga 2 or 3 times a week, okay? So, but the good news is her as a semi-professional athlete, she was doing her stretching. She was doing her mobility work. She was coming in doing accessory work. Because like when you're on your period, you could probably work out for quite a while, but it's going to be like low and slow, and it's not going to be for time and like intense and all this stuff, right? And that's exactly what she was doing. And she was so much happier with her performance in the gym, with her performance in her competitions, and with her just all around just training. She wasn't dreading her workouts anymore because her energy, like her workout matched her energy. I mean, that didn't mean that she didn't come in and there were some days that she was like, you know what, I do not feel like training, because that's inevitable. That's just what happens. You don't feel like training every day. but like you come in and you do what you can. And fortunately for her, what she can do linked up with what she was assigned to do. So it was a win-win situation for everybody. And that coach got to learn some really valuable skills for teaching and coaching women. And that I'm truly grateful for. So I've read a lot on studies of like the hormonal studies of men versus women, and testosterone is very different in men and women. First off, testosterone is anywhere from 7 to 45 times more in men than it is in women. So women who are afraid of getting bulky or like putting on muscle, like, girl, no. I have been weightlifting for like 13 years. I'm like still waiting to get bulky. I wish it was that easy to like muscle up. And I muscle up. I'm one of the women who muscle up fairly quickly. I've got like big shoulders. I've been weight training a long time. Like, I'm an athlete. Like, I muscle up fairly quickly and I still don't get bulky. Okay. So that's a myth. Um, Also, our estrogen in our body seems to like play along with the testosterone in our body, seems to play along with estrogen in our body. Meaning, as estrogen is rising, testosterone is rising too, and it peaks around ovulation and then it drops off. Okay, so we always think of estrogen as more anabolic, meaning it's like more of a builder, a muscle builder, and it's anabolic. It's a builder. It's a builder upper. Testosterone is the same thing too. That's why people take steroids. Testosterone, it builds soft muscle tissue. Okay, it's anabolic, whereas progesterone is catabolic. So I always think chaos, but that means that it breaks down tissue. Okay, so it really doesn't make. So when we have this hormone in our body that's extremely active for about 2 weeks or a week and a half on a 28-day cycle, that's catabolic, it really doesn't make too much sense for us to just pound out squats and pound out muscle building exercises in that second portion of the cycle, because like our effort is futile. We don't hormonally have the building blocks in order to make large amounts of muscle. Yeah. we don't we don't have the building blocks to make large amounts of muscle in that second portion of our cycle. Okay, so there's really no point impressing yourself like the last half of your cycle, which is great news. All we're doing is maintenance. We're doing mobility work. We're doing some accessory moves. We're doing some skill work. That's freaking awesome. That is great news for you and your energy level. Okay. And then like, okay, and I always get it without fail. I always get it. What if my cycle's irregular? Okay, you need to track your cycle. At some point, there will be a pattern, and it'll be a pattern either not when you get your period, but you need to know what your energy pattern is throughout these days. Okay, so you also need to see if you're ovulating. This is like a very important part, because even if you have an irregular cycle, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are not ovulating, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are ovulating. You need to figure out, track your cycle, track the signs of ovulation, whether it's temperature or your discharge or anything like that. And you need to see whether you're ovulating. Okay. So also take notes on how you feel. Take notes on how you feel, because that's going to be a huge portion. You're going to notice a pattern. Okay. So next I have one more video coming out. Next, we're going to talk about, like what this means for you. And like, we're going to talk about a little bit more specifically about some of the questions that you had. Beyond, I'm sure we're going to get another, what if my cycle's irregular? Well, I'll just address it again. That's fine. But next, yeah. So in my next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about specific questions that I have gotten about training, like specifically training and training for legs. And then I've got an offer for you. Yeah, I have an offer for you. So I have something really exciting coming up. And especially for those of you who are really interested in like this information and also my program and working with your cycle and training, which is super exciting, I have an offer for you. It's going to be for the first people served. So please stay tuned. Remember, and share this information, reply to this email, and tweet at me, whatever. I'm Angry Pauline everywhere. I love hearing from you, and thank you so much for being here.